Hey guys, my guest tonight, Nancy Thames, is going to be talking about humanity and ET unity. We'll be right back. Grab your popcorn and snacks. Find a comfy spot, take a seat or lie down, and let me transport you to a place of fantasy, ghost stories, ancient legends, odd creatures, alien encounters, and other magical topics. You may even decide to join the conversation. From faraway lands to your own backyard, with a small dash of pixie dust. Turn out the lights and open your minds. The journey is about to begin. Good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing? I think you all said yes. My psychic powers say you say yes, if I had them. My name is Charlotte. I'm going to be your host for the next hour. I'm also the owner of the California Haunts Paranormal Investigation Team based out of Sacramento, California. We are 45 strong up and down the state, which means if you have a paranormal issue, we can get to you. Get up here. It may take us a while because California is really a big state. However, we will get to you. And if we can't get you right away, meaning 2 or 3 days. If we can't get you right away, we do have mediums on staff who can phone you and talk to you about what may or may not be going on in your home or business. And in most cases, if it is paranormal, they can settle the energy down before we get out there. But we will get out to you, believe me. And I'm always available by phone 24/7. You need to find us. We are on every social media thing you can think of. We're facebookmeetup.com. We're over at TikTok. We're over at Twitch. We're over at YouTube. And it's really easy to Google California Haunts Paranormal Investigation Team. We're trying to get our website back up here. We had some maintenance to do on it, and it's taken a lot longer than we thought. But if I don't get the main paranormal website up, I will get the radio website back up, and then you guys can check that out as well. Anyhow, quick announcements is that probably around Monday sometime, I will have the Patriot page set up for donations to, do a little extra stuff over there with different guests and whatnot, and and to keep this show funded because this show is technically a nonprofit because I don't take any money forward unless it goes towards the show. But we don't have big advertisers and stuff like everybody else, and YouTube did turn us down, so we're trying to figure out what type of things we can do to earn a little money to keep the show on the air because we really want to keep it on the air. We all enjoy doing it, and I know my family enjoys the show. Everybody enjoys the show, but it just has to figure out a way to monetize it. So that's what I'm in the process with, working with some very close people of mine, and so I'm real excited to do that. If you're watching from Facebook, and a lot of you are, and you haven't done so already, please hit the follow button if you like what you hear and see tonight. I'd really appreciate it. We're always looking for followers. And you know what? We're out of sync. Look at that. Everything's out of sync right now. Oh, this is going to be one of those nights. Internet must be acting up. I can just tell, kind of like one of those Godzilla movies. I don't know why we're all out of sync, because we shouldn't be. Let me double check a setting here to make sure I turned it off, because... No, that's why. Okay, let me turn this setting off. That's better. There's a setting I was playing with. See, now I can move. There's a setting I was playing with on StreamYard, and I was wondering how it was going to work. I turned it way down, and all of a sudden I'm out of sync, which I don't like. I'd rather not have that thing on. But anyway, getting back to this. If you are watching from Facebook and you haven't followed already, please be sure to do that. We're always looking for followers. We also have monetization on Facebook, so if you find it in your heart that you want to monetize some coins over, to keep the show on the air, please feel free to do that. And also, during the show, feel free to chat amongst yourselves in the chat room and show me some love. Give me some thumbs up, these weird heart things, hearts or whatever it is you'd like to do, because that helps. Have you ever heard of the For You pages? That's what that is. Facebook, if you scroll down your main page on Facebook and you get past the reels, just below that is where they have suggestions of different people that you might be interested in, or different pages or groups you might be interested in. That is what the For You page is. So what happens when you guys, leave thumbs up and comment in the chat room and all that, the main computer at Facebook sees it, and they put us into that For You file, and then they put us to people that might be interested. Okay. Also, for you guys that are at home or in the car, well, not so much in the car, but at home, and maybe there's somebody in the house that's into the paranormal, share the show with them. It's all about sharing. It's all about sharing. That's how we've gotten as far as we have in the last 4 years, is because of people sharing, sharing about us. And YouTube works the same way, okay? Just basically the same way. If you haven't subscribed, please feel free to do so. There's over 1,000 videos over there, and it's all this show. And I am a journalist, photojournalist, so I like to change it up. So you're not only going to see paranormal stuff, but you're going to see like true crime stuff. Like next week, we're going to have the story of young 4-year-old Brandon Sims, who was unalived by his mother. And, we're going to talk about that court case. So I do like to change it up and stuff. Okay, so yeah, same thing. You can chat in the chat room. Leave me a happy face or whatnot over at YouTube. And again, same thing. Twitch. We're on Twitch tonight as well, and we're also on X, formerly known as Twitter. Yeah, and so they all work the same. It's just some work different ways. Like for instance, TikTok. If we were live on TikTok tonight, the likes wouldn't come from like thumbs up. The likes would be you'd be double tapping the screen. So they all basically work the same and for the same reason. Okay, I want to shut up about that. And tomorrow, of course, I'm going to be here solo talking about how you can tell if you're living in a haunted house. But I also have some other things to talk about with you tomorrow as well. Okay, my guest tonight, I'm really excited, Nancy Thames. I've heard her on other shows, and she has some really interesting stuff to say about ET contact, and about how the ETs kind of want to work with us, and add some unity in with the human race. She knows more details about that, so I'm going to bring her on. We'll find out more about her and all that good stuff, and get this show on the road. Here we go. Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to have you. Tell me about you.
Oh, golly. Well, I'm 64 years old. I'm a lifelong contactee with interdimensional beings and extraterrestrials. And
Mm-hmm.
my first conscious memories start as far back as like 2 and 3 years old. And it's just something that has been with me all my life. And as I've gotten older, I later found out that it wasn't just about me, it also involves my children. So I personally witnessed them being taken or contacted for their first times. And I've experienced pretty much every phase that you could expect a person that's a contactee and experiencer would feel, from loving it, young, when I was very young. The world around me had not influenced me. So it was just purely what it was,
Mm-hmm.
and it was beautiful and fun. And then as I got older, junior high or high school, then the world around me had changed my thinking. So I
Mm-hmm.
became fearful. I became afraid.
Mm-hmm.
And I figured out through a process of elimination that if I wanted to understand why this was happening to me, if I wanted to get to find out more about it,
Mm-hmm.
I had to work on this fear. And they let me know in ways too, telepathically, that I had to work on this, and I was able to do this at my own pace, and it did not happen overnight by any
Mm-hmm.
means. It's for me, it's never been what extraterrestrials or interdimensionals look like. It is the frequency exchange. Human beings are at a very low frequency, and when we're in face to face contact with an interdimensional or extraterrestrial, that frequency is so much stronger than ours. It is overwhelming, and your body really doesn't know how to respond to it. It's not a feeling we've ever had, so our
Mm-hmm.
brains does the best it can, and
Mm-hmm.
it will jump to fear. And for me, once I realized it wasn't anything they were doing, this was my natural body response. I had to force myself, face the fear, push into it, flow in with it, and see how the experience would continue. And that's
Right.
what I've had to learn to do. And it's still, at times, I still have to fight the fear, because it's just so overwhelming, the difference in our frequencies. But once you do, it is a beautiful thing, and it's like nothing else that you could ever explain to another human being. And I don't
Hmm.
expect anybody to. Nobody has to believe me. I don't care
Hmm.
whether people do or not. Um, and that's why I feel like that at this point in this stage of of what we're facing here, which is a worldwide phenomena, this is about. It's not about me. It's not about just the United States. It's not just about people that have an interest in this. This is a worldwide phenomenon. And I think this is part, or I know this is part of our evolutionary process of human beings waking up, leaving a negative realm that we've been programmed in and been in for eons. This is our big opportunity to move out into a new way of thinking and a new way of living. And they are here watching and witnessing it, because
Hmm.
not only is this a big event for us, this is a big event for them. This is a big
Right.
event for our planet Earth. And every living creature on our planet, we are all one. We are
Hmm.
all connected, which means everything's all connected. Humans are the only ones that have lost our connections and forgotten that we're connected to all these things. But
Hmm.
we are. But they've always known, and they've been waiting on us. So this is a celebration not only for the extraterrestrials, interdimensionals, and our planet, but all the living creatures on it. Just so excited that human beings are finally waking up and understanding our place on this planet, and our coexistence with all
Hmm.
the things that are on it as well.
Interesting. When you talk about the overwhelming feeling that you got in the beginning,
Yeah.
I think like with being a paranormal investigator, like I am, that happens to us as well. Where I call it a psychic, I call it goose by a ghost, is what I call it, because you'll feel this go through you, and sometimes it depends on the person, but my stomach will flip. And then the problem is, because I didn't have my guard up, or I didn't have my brain programmed for this to happen, then I'm knocked out for like 3 days,
Yeah,
because it's just so overwhelming. And whether it's
it
an energy
is.
drain or whatever it is, it's like you say, it's like your sounds logical to me, that it's my brain trying to figure out, wrap itself around what just occurred, and to try and get used to it. So I think it's a similar feeling.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure it is, because everything is about frequencies. Everything is
Hmm.
about higher consciousness, and the higher frequency, the higher consciousness, the extreme difference in the feelings that we
Right.
feel. Excuse me, I just
That's
getting
okay.
kind of getting over a cold, but it's an amazing thing. I don't even know, what you can compare it to. It's kind of a feeling between extreme fear and
Hmm.
extreme euphoria,
Hmm.
kind of all balled up in one. So your brain's just like going, it's pulled. It doesn't really know what to do. And what people don't realize is that, well, I know everybody knows that extraterrestrials and interdimensionals are telepathic, but
Hmm.
what comes with that is that not only do they know all that we think, they feel everything we feel. So when
Hmm.
we feel extreme fear or anxiety, they feel it tenfold. In
Hmm.
their reality, they don't experience these feelings. So it's very, very strange to them, and they don't like it.
Hmm.
To be honest,
Hmm.
it's not something they understand. And that's why they will, I call it tapping you out, or they can do this either by touching you, or they can do it consciously, but put
Hmm.
you in a sedated kind of it's a blacked out state, but you're fully functional,
Hmm.
but you can still go through the experience. But the only problem with that is when you get back, you may wake up consciously just prior as you're walking back and getting in the bed. But when you realize that you're just getting back and you try to put all this together, you have missing time. You have fragmented memories, which is typical of what most people come back saying, is that they don't remember, because and the fear is the last thing remembered. And it's unfortunate, but with our brain and our programming since the day we were born.
Mhm.
Um, our brain will try to fill in these missing time, will try to fill in these bits and pieces. And unfortunately, sometimes it's not the truth of the experience. It's not the true reality. It's what our brain perceives or thinks that has happened.
Mhm.
So, and a lot of times people will realize later on as they get older and they think and reflect on it that the experience was quite different. But
Mhm.
the fact is, it is a fearful thing that
Mhm.
nobody's making up any stories or anything like that. It is extremely scary, and it's extremely hard for us to understand these because, we're not used to these things.
Absolutely. Now, when
Yeah.
you talk about being taken when you were a child, a real young child, did you kind of? I mean, it's hard to wrap your head around because you're a kid, and you're wondering what's going on. But were you able to remember any of that, or did you have to be hypnotized or anything, regressed to know about what had happened?
No, I remember it all. I remember every single bit. I did have a regression done back around, oh, it's been a couple of months ago, and I really didn't learn anything new.
Mm-hmm.
It was more, I guess I could say, affirmations, but these are things I already knew. And that is because the interdimensionals gifted me a Kundalini awakening 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happened, that opened my subconscious up into my human consciousness. And everything that's ever happened to me from my birth up into the present, it all came together, and the little missing bits and pieces all
Mm-hmm.
finally, congealed or gelled together. And I have a full understanding, even things that I thought was I didn't like, or things that I thought questioned why they did what they did. Like,
Mm-hmm.
for example, when I witnessed my two sons having their first contact, I was fully conscious, but they put me in a sleep paralysis,
Sure.
which means I could not move and I could not speak.
Mm-hmm.
But I sit there and I laid there and watched the whole thing. Now I realize they could have done that without me ever even knowing, but
Mm-hmm.
it served a higher purpose. It was to teach me things for now in my life, now that I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing what they always wanted me to do, to get out and talk to people and try to explain what these experiences are like. And that
Mm-hmm.
a lot of our perceptions at the time when these things happens, when I was 30 years old, it was horrific. It was horrible,
Mm-hmm.
terrible. But now I understand. They wanted me to know that this was not just about me, that this
Mm-hmm.
involved my family, and that it was for a higher purpose. And I now know that, they're not just, nothing is done just for fun and games. Nothing is done as experiments. Nothing is done for any of the craziness that we hear. These things, these visits are done to people. They're checking our spiritual growth. They're
Mm-hmm.
checking our evolutionary growth. They're checking all these different things, our physical well being. In a lot of
Mm-hmm.
cases, they will help people with health issues and stuff. I can't say that they do that for everybody because I can
Right.
only speak for myself. But in my case, they have done things for me. And I know that, but I know that their technology is not like our technology. Um, you and I are sitting here talking to each other through a computer.
Mm-hmm.
That is our technology. In their reality, their consciousness is their technology. It is not a separate entity. So I'm not saying that they're AI. They are not. They are all
Mm-hmm.
biological beings, but they have evolved. They're billions of years ahead of us in
Mm-hmm.
evolution. They have evolved to a level of they can manifest their things, and they are the technology. They travel through their consciousness. They
Mm-hmm.
don't use proportion, I can't even talk now.
I know
Propulsion
this.
or
I know the
fuel,
feeling.
I know, or
Sorry.
travel through the universe like we do. They have
Right.
surpassed all these ways. And that's the problem. we need to understand that there is no human understanding of their reality and how they travel around the world and how they can manifest and do what they do, because we're just not, we're nowhere close to that yet, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And we will never be able to fly their craft because their crafts are living conscious beings.
Mm-hmm.
So their pilot and the craft, their consciousness meet, and they simply think where they want to go, and bam, they go. So it's an amazing thing, and they only wish to assist human beings. They have no desire to control or take over or any of these things, because, you know, they've seen many other beings go through this evolutionary process. And
Mm-hmm.
this is nothing new to them. It's only new to us. And we have the fallacy of thinking that we're all there is, and, you know, everything's about us, and we try to relate everything to our world, but it's not that way. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we are what we are, they are what they are. And we have to accept that we are like children and we have a lot to learn. And, you know, they are our family, they are our brothers and our sisters, and they're willing to assist us, not fix. If we make mistakes, we have to fix our mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, I've heard a lot about this too. This generational family, abductions, contactees. Where it runs in the family. Did you ever talk to your mother and father about these things happening, and did it happen to them, or did they admit it to it?
It was not a, I don't know for sure, but I do know that for every person, for me, let me just start with me, what I know about me.
Mm-hmm.
When I was 30 years old and I saw my two children
Mm-hmm.
being taken, and that was on a vacation, and I was very upset. I got through it. When I woke up, my children were fine, had no memories of what had happened. But when I got home, I meditated and I asked for face to face visitation, and I wanted answers. I wanted to know
Mm-hmm.
why me, why this was happening, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
So I meditated. They did come eventually, not exactly when I called. I don't claim to do anything out of the ordinary, like call them down or anything
Right.
like that. I'm just a human being. So, but they did come on their own time, and they took me before a group of elders. And these elders
Mm-hmm.
were interdimensionals that were over different races,
Mm-hmm.
perhaps galaxy or universes. I don't exactly know it all, and I don't claim to know everything, but they took me before them, and I asked them why this was happening to me. Why did this
Mm-hmm.
happen to my children? What is the purpose? What is the meaning? And they showed me a vision of myself. And I made a decision before becoming a human being. I made a decision to come here and experience being a human being, and to help humanity understand this evolutionary process that we are going through.
Mm-hmm.
So I made an agreement to come and do this. And I know now through my Kundalini and through further conversations that my children did as well. Now, I do know that we were come from the same place. And where they take us is to a huge mothership that is full of interdimensionals and full of many, many races of extraterrestrials and interdimensionals that all work together, um, and travel out through universes looking for beings that are
Mm-hmm.
going through ascension and ready to be introduced into the cosmic realm. So I know that for us, we make choices to come here and be a part of this. And I do know that my sister has had experiences,
Mm-hmm.
but it only went as far as she wanted it to go. You know, she went
Mm-hmm.
so far with it, and then she wasn't interested anymore. And to my knowledge, they honored that. And I feel like any generations beyond before me probably did the same thing, because
Mhm.
it was when I was growing up, I could not talk about this to just anybody. Growing up in the South, it was considered demonic or a mental health issue.
Mhm.
So my family told me point blank, you cannot talk about this at school, to other family members, churches, Girl Scout, whatever. You cannot talk about this. And I
Mhm.
figured it out, even at school. If you said the word devil, you'd be getting in all kinds of trouble. Or if you said anything out of the
Right.
ordinary, you would get in all kinds of trouble. So I think it's kind of like the rest of the world. There's some people that have had these experiences,
Mhm.
but it wasn't the right time or place, and they weren't ready to step out and share their experiences. Or maybe they suppressed it and didn't
Mhm.
want to remember it all. Where I fought the fear, I pushed myself to get to understand.
Mhm.
And they gave me the guidance for this, because now is the time. Now is the time. I created my website, and had been really, they had always told me that I would know when the time is right. And
Mhm.
that's exactly what's happened. It is the right time. And it's time now for anyone that's had experiences. Don't be afraid or ashamed anymore. Speak up,
Mhm.
because whether we realize it or not, everybody here on earth all made a choice to be here on this planet
Mhm.
at this time. This is a pivotal time for humanity. This is, a time where if if we don't make the right choices with our technology, if we don't work towards our ascension, and we stay in this negative realm of wars and negativity, it could be the end of our society. So we
Mhm.
all made a choice to come here in one way or another to be a part of this. So it's time for us to look within. And you don't have to believe anything I say or anybody else says, but our world is changing,
Mhm.
and we need to figure out why we chose to be here and what our part is supposed to be in figuring all this out, because we are all a part of this.
Question in the chat room is: are they in another dimension, or are they, for me, or are they in that other dimension, or are they
Yeah,
side by side with us and we can't see them?
absolutely that.
Okay.
Well, dimensions are not physical places. Dimensions are higher levels of consciousness. But
Mhm.
with that also means our visual range is limited as long as we're in the 3D realm.
Mhm.
That doesn't mean that there's life. And they've shown me this several times. They could be here, right here and now in the room with me, but I wouldn't see it. But they have shown me and manifested and moved things in front of me so that I would understand this. So it's just like we can't see plants, trees, and all these things on our planet that are living conscious beings and are constantly communicating to each other. We
Mhm.
visually can't see this. That doesn't mean it's not happening. It just
Right.
means we're not aware. But as we reach higher ascension, raise our frequencies, all these things are become more and more aware. But it
Mhm.
won't be a freak out type thing like happen overnight, like night and day. It's going to
Mhm.
be a gradual, slow process, and it has to be done this way so that the human brain can comprehend it and not freak out.
Mhm.
You know, so it's actually a beautiful cycle, and it's just like anything back, in our creation. Everything's done in a beautiful, unique design in a way that
Mhm.
it's acceptable by all. And by the time we get to the end of these cycles, it will seem like our world has always been this way, is what they
Mhm.
say to me.
Mhm.
And they tell me, for all us people that are working at trying to be better humans, and trying to, and you're seeing all these horrible things, by
Mhm.
trying to be a better human being and raising your frequency doesn't mean that these other things are not happening, but it means that you're turning your attention away from it, and you're focusing all your energy on being higher frequency, more positive, better human beings. And the more that we do that, more people will do the same. And it's just like if you quit watching a show on TV,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it gets put back on, excuse me, by the amount of viewers. If viewers quit watching it, it's not going to have anybody to have a show for. So it's
Right.
kind of like wars. If they're keep showing us that all this stuff is going on somewhere, but if we deflect our interest, who are they going to do this for when nobody's watching? So
Mm-hmm.
it will end. So I know that sounds weird, but I'm got this throat thing going. But it's kind of like our children. We punish them to make them stop doing something, and if we don't do it, they keep doing the same thing. So
Right.
it's kind of like that. We're just children, and this is, even though we're adults, we still have to look at the world and things that are around us and understand that we've been programmed and learn how to turn these programs off. And instead of having these negative thoughts that automatically pop in our mind, replace them with two positive thoughts. It's just basically learning a new way of thinking and a new way of living. And I know it sounds strange, but it all starts within. We work on ourselves within, get ourselves situated, and then start getting ourselves to doing this and raising our frequency. Our family will start to
Mm-hmm.
notice. Our
Mm-hmm.
friends will start to notice. And you don't even have to try to work them into this. They will pick up on this naturally. It's just something that spreads because everybody loves to feel good. Everybody loves to be happy.
Right.
And the best thing I can compare it to is like you've heard runners that do all this hard running and they say that they get this adrenaline rush that feels really good and they love
Mm-hmm.
that. It's like a high. Well, when you raise your frequency, it's the same thing. It's a vibrational frequency that feels really good. And your body responds to it in a positive way, which makes you feel better and you become a happier, healthier human being. And it
Mm-hmm.
spreads all around you.
Mm-hmm. One more question about when you were little. What took place when they took you aboard ship? Because I've talked with Barbara Lamb, and she
Hmm.
has that children's book out,
Yeah.
about being aboard. What was it like for you as a little kid aboard the ship?
Same thing it is now, only when I was little, they could change the scenery around if they felt like they needed to keep my attention, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But the way when you walk in, everything changes. I know, like when I was little, they would take a handheld device and they would run it up and down, head to toe, toe to head, and I would start to lift off the ground and then holding a female gray's hand who was not gray, was reddish brown.
Mm-hmm.
She would like hold my hand and lead me up to craft. And we would go through a ceiling or through a door or through a window. And I never understood as I got older how we were able to do that. But now I understand they were changing my frequency to match their frequency. And I guess that's, you know, so that's how I was able to do that is because they were
Mm-hmm.
changing my frequency. And I do know that when I would be going towards the craft, it would look maybe the size of half a football field. But then when I step in, it's like, it's like walking into a whole new, it's like it's huge,
Mm-hmm.
it's like unbelievably big. It's like walking into a new dimension, I guess, which it's hard to extract. It's just like it's there, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
huge. But and now it's like everything to me is very bright. But if you look all around, you'll never be able to even tell where that light is coming from. It's just there and it's everywhere. And everything appears white. And there's nothing fancy, nothing, it's just clean white. And um it is what it is. I don't know how to explain it really. But yeah, and there's no smells I've never noticed any smells or anything like that, and I don't hear sounds other than them telepathically speaking to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. When they're passing information on to you,
Hmm.
is it them? Is it them just standing in front of you? Giving you this information, Or is it like a classroom thing, where they sit a bunch of people in there and talk to them?
Both, but mostly
Okay.
it's me one on one with them.
Hmm.
And other times, if I go somewhere for instruction or on a different craft or a different experience,
Hmm.
the female gray will take me there, and then I'll be around. It could be a group of explorers that were,
Hmm.
looking for something, or some other. There's this has been going on all my life, so I've had many, many different scenarios. But
Hmm.
basically, when you first get on craft, for me, what they do, they're checking on my mental health. They're checking on my physical well-being, my spiritual evolution. They want to know point blank, how am I handling being who I am here on earth?
Hmm.
How am I handling it? Because it's not easy at all.
Hmm.
It has not been always fun, and it has been very hard. So they're constantly checking on things like that, because it's just as important for me to have a balanced human life as it is
Hmm.
to have this extraterrestrial life that I now understand. I haven't always been to this level.
Hmm.
This is not something that just happens overnight.
Hmm.
It's a slow growth, and they have been very patient with me and allowed me the time that I needed to gain my confidence, understand where the information that I'm getting from them is coming from, to quit questioning it, and overcome fear, all the things that any other human beings would have to face in this situation, which is good because that helps me to be able to be more relatable to other people that have questions.
It's kind of like a free screen for a job. They take you in, they're trying to see if, okay, this woman's going to qualify, so we can pass the information on to her, and she'll pass the information on to whoever she's going to pass it on to. Because I know not everybody gets the information like you have it. So it must
So,
be
yeah,
a certain select people they're looking for.
yeah. But I do know now I was an interdimensional before I came to Earth. And that's why I made a choice to come here and do this. So this is my first time to Earth. I feel
Hmm.
pretty confident in saying, and for my children as well. And we came from a very high frequency down to a lower frequency to do
Hmm.
this. That is not an easy thing to do.
Right.
And I understand this more and more as I get older, but it would have been wonderful to have known these things in my 20s, but I wasn't mature enough to understand it at that time. You know,
Hmm.
everything happens for a reason, and there's a purpose for everything. And, I guess everybody can say, well, if I'd known today, if I just know what I know now back
Hmm.
then, we can all say those kind of things.
Hmm.
But there truly is a reason why things don't happen any sooner than they're supposed to, because our we have to be ready. We have to be mentally ready for these kind of things. So,
Did
yeah,
Did you get any information about the hybrid program at all, or anything like that?
I I understand a lot about it, and I'm learning more and more every day.
Hmm.
And I'll give you some what my thoughts are. And I don't claim to know everything.
Sure.
I don't claim to know everything, but as I've told you, the frequency exchange between a human and an extraterrestrial, to me, is the biggest fear factor. It's not what they look at, it's the feelings that you get.
Hmm.
If there was a hybrid program, which I'm not saying that there is not, I
Hmm.
wasn't involved in that, but and if there was, I don't think it's exactly like we have. What's the word I want to use? It's not like we have projected it to be. They are a
Hmm.
billion years ahead of us. There's a ways of extracting DNA and stuff that are far above these basic things that a lot of people said they took my eggs. Well, there's a lot of ways that they can do these things without doing it the dumb human way.
Hmm.
So that part I have a problem with, but that's just the people's interpretation at the time, you know. So, but what I see from an interdimensional extraterrestrial perspective is that what better way to interact with human beings than to create a hybrid that's closer to their frequency.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But also keeping in mind, because of them being a hybrid, they would never be accepted here on Earth.
Right.
So they would have to be taken aboard craft and brought up there. And then maybe at later some point, the integration,
Right.
and that would be the purpose of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying I know everything, but that's from my perspective of thinking like they do. So I can understand that. And but now as far as like the probing and all that kind of stuff, those things aren't true.
Okay.
They're way beyond, they don't use tools and instruments. They can manifest what they want. In the times that I've had like their type of surgical procedures and stuff, it's consciously, they've gone like taken their consciousness and gone within my inner soul self and moved around and done things to my kidneys. And there's no cutting or jabbing or, it's not done, there's just no humanizing it. So.
Question in the chat room is, do the same types of beings contact you, and can you see them in your mind's eye?
What do you mean, the same type beings?
Well, every time they come to get you.
Oh.
The same types of beings that contact.
Yes.
Contact with all the time. Yeah.
I see different beings because of the mothership that I go on is full of different races of beings that are all interacting and working together in unity they're on a mission. But they always usually send 3 grays, and the one in particular is a female, and I am bonded with her. And I feel like that she's been with me even before I came to Earth. She's been with me. She was there with me and bonded to me there. The interdimensionals are of a higher dimension than the extraterrestrials. Not that they're in a different place. They're just of a higher consciousness. And they all work together in unison and to do certain things. But I see aquatic beings. I call them humanoids because to me, I don't know if they're Nordic or Turian, Syrian, whatever, because in my interactions, they do not use names. They do not use labels. Their frequency is their signature. Their frequency is who they are. So that's who I am. I am my frequency, and no one has a frequency like me. It is my signature. So they do not call Earth, or they do not call galactic, galactic, but they will present certain names at times, like when they said the elders, they said that. But as far as they don't give themselves names, and they don't, so I'm trying to think. You asked me something too about interdimensionals, where they're from. They're everywhere. They're here too, because that's not a physical place. It's a higher realm, higher level of consciousness. So they're here. Yeah.
What about the ones that they claim are, more aggressive than others, like the reptilians? Have you seen it?
I've met a reptilian, and he was a good guy, so I don't know, that's what I have all been around, is just
right.
a races of beings that are all working together in unison to do a great thing. And I feel like that, I know that if they were in our realm, if these extraterrestrials, if they're within our realm, they have the potential of being negative and not so positive. But I do know that they would never get assistance from the interdimensionals or the above realms, because in their reality, there is no negative. There is no wars. There is no negative, and they explained to me it's kind of like a DNA ladder, and humanity is going up this ladder. And as long as we're in this realm, this is where all wars and all negative aspects can occur. So as we're working our way up out of this, dark forces that are in control right now, like different fractions of government, elites, etc., cabal, etc., what all these dark forces do not want humanity to move out of this realm, because they realize and know they will never ever be able to control us again, because we will move past all these negative aspects, and we will realize that it no longer serves us, and they will have no control over us ever again. And I can't say that I don't, there's some extraterrestrials that probably have made agreements with government and done certain things, but their days are over too, because I know that when they came into the galaxies and stuff, they told all of those type beings to leave humanity alone, that their days were over.
I find
But
that very interesting.
I want to say, though, I can't call them negative. I still think the real negative, ugly things that's happened to humanity were from humans. Yeah.
And like you say, before you came here to this earth, you were one of them, and you chose to come here. Why do you think you chose to come here? Because like you say, it's a lot harder here than it is everywhere else.
To be honest with you, I know that I know that I have family there, and I know that every time I go on craft, they're in a distance evaluating me and watching me. And I know that when I leave Earth that I'm going back home. But I also know that this was something that I felt was very important. Why? I don't know why it was so important. And I've had choices to already leave here. When I've gone through extreme experiences, I've been through 2 horrible divorces, fighting over children, et cetera, all the drama that human beings do to one another, and I thought it was the end of the world. And they would come to me and say, if this ever gets to be too much for you, you can always come home. And automatically, this is my home. I'm there. Right now, even though I know all that, and I know that our world has got a lot of problems, this is my home. I have family here. This is important to me. And for whatever reason, there was something made me go against my own family up there and want to do this, because they did not want me to. I know that. I don't know all of the circumstances, but I do know that. So I don't know. Maybe I'm a rebel.
Well, that happens. I was just thinking last week, I was talking to somebody about my past life, and how like sometimes before you come back, you can choose what you want to do, in your next life.
Yeah.
And I got to thinking about the way things have gone in this life. I want to have a big conversation when I get over there and I see my past self. I want to find out what the hell they were thinking, because I don't know what's up with that.
Well, it is amazing. There's so much about our human mind and so much about the world that we are just now beginning to understand. And it's an amazing thing. The visions that I have been shown about how our lives are going to change and what the human experience will eventually be. That is why we're all here doing this, is because in our subconscious, we already know what the outcome is going to be. We already know what these struggles we're going to be like right now. But we're just now starting to wake up and realize we all made a choice to come here to change the experience of coming to Earth to being a beautiful thing. And if you stop and think about it, It's amazing. I don't know any, I understand now why it's so wonderful, because not only are we connected to each other, but to our own planet and to every living creature on it. And when we all finally unite and come together, can you imagine what it's, I can't even imagine how wonderful our whole planet is going to be when everything is united and working together as one. Can you imagine the beauty, uniqueness? There's no other planet like us, I would say. And I would say that's why I chose to come to be here, because I know what our future is somewhere up in here. I know that this is it. And we all chose to be here for this because we are all the disclosure. We are the disclosure. And we are unique and different. And we're just now understanding this. So I think that's why I chose to come here.
When you
Yeah.
talk about their technology and stuff, are they involved at all with our scientists, or our scientist hybrids, to the point that, because I mean our technology comes out slow sometimes and it comes out quickly, but the last few years there have been a lot of leaps in the technology that we do have as far as medical stuff, like those phone booth things you can walk into and get your body scanned,
Oh,
things like
yeah.
that.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
are they having a hand in all that?
Absolutely. In the last 100 years, a lot, almost all of our technology is from gifted from extraterrestrials and interdimensionals. And there's a lot of it that our government has that they have set on. There's so many things that these elites have kept from us. We should have no poverty. We should not be using fossil fuels. We should have no diseases. And from what everything they've taught me, when we were created, everything that we ever needed to sustain us throughout our lives was created and placed here on earth, because we are all one and we are all connected.
Mm-hmm.
So they're sitting on not only technology, but information, because this is a way that they control our population and they control our lifespans, by keeping us dumbed down and keeping us unhealthy. We should be living much longer lives. Yeah. So lots of things are going to change. People are going to start to wake up and realize that our world is changing. We are changing, and things are going to get better. Nothing happens overnight, and
Mm-hmm.
we do have to do our part. But if we just start working at being better human beings, work on ourselves, look within, and we don't have to believe me. You don't have to believe anybody, but just start looking within, because we all chose to be here. We just need to ask our subconscious to open up into our human consciousness, help us out, help us to understand this changing world around us, help us to make the right decisions, and lead us in the right way. And I think that when we get to the end of all this, we're going to realize we don't need the government to affirm anything. We don't need anything. We will already know all this ourselves.
How long do you think it's going to take for us to get to that point of disclosure? Will it happen in this lifetime, or is it going to be in the lifetime behind us?
In their reality, there is no such thing as time. So for me, when I think about this, there's no way I can know, because that's like predicting what the whole world is going to do.
Mm-hmm.
This is a worldwide phenomenon. This is not about me. This is not about the United States. This is not about the UFO community. This is a worldwide thing. This is everybody. Nobody is going to be left behind. Nobody gets left behind.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about not just our planet and every individual on this planet, all living creatures on our planet, including the jungles, the forests, the reefs, the oceans, the river, everything. I just know if we keep working at being better human beings, have faith in ourselves and in our planet Earth, because I know if we're good to Earth, she'll be good to us. all of us and our plants and our animal, all of us working together, raising frequencies is going to be phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
It's just hard for people to realize that these things are living conscious beings and they help raise the frequency of our planet as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've been thinking since you've been talking to me. I mean, obviously they've been watching us for a long time,
Oh,
hundreds and
absolutely.
hundreds and thousands of years.
Yes,
Did they ever talk to you about that? You know how we have evolved as a race? Because I mean, obviously, when they were seeing us as the Egyptians, you know, seeing us as the Mayans, I mean, they were doing great technical things, but not like we have now. So is that what they were waiting for? What they've been waiting for is for us to evolve to a certain point?
absolutely. Absolutely. And they've explained to me, for one thing, I wanted to understand why the interdimensionals look so different than just extraterrestrials.
Mm-hmm.
For me, they are luminescent, shiny, whatever. They're different.
Mm-hmm.
So what they said was that if they were, for example, if they were to teleport you and I
Mm-hmm.
back to biblical times in the day when the Bible and everything spoke of the shining ones, okay? You and I go walking out in front of these people, they would visualize you and I as the shining ones because we would be of higher consciousness
Mm-hmm.
and a higher frequency. So we would, in their visual range, we would be the shining ones.
That makes sense. That
Yeah,
makes a lot of sense.
yeah.
What's the
So,
main message? Okay, go ahead.
oh
What's the main
no, the main message is that we need to wake up and realize who we are. You
Mm-hmm.
know, we weren't created just to work 9 to 5 and die at a young age
Mm-hmm.
and do not be happy human beings. We weren't supposed to have all these diseases and anxiety and depression and all these things. We need to be we are going to be the change, we are the generation that the world has been waiting on
Mm-hmm.
to change the human experience into what it was created to be. And they could not come in and do these things because we are all here on free will.
Mm-hmm.
So they can't interfere with certain things. But once we understand that we have been in a programmed negative realm and that we can change these things on our own, they can assist us
Mm-hmm.
and have more capacity of helping us to learn to make the right decisions with our technology and advancements so that we can better ourselves.
Okay.
And they've talked to me about AI.
Mm-hmm.
They said it is a man-made tool. Keep it as a man-made tool. Use it as a use it to benefit all of humanity. We cannot keep it in this 3D realm because it would be used only for a certain elite group. It
Mm-hmm.
has we have to get ourselves out of this negative realm. We have to raise our frequencies and become higher consciousness and understand. We need to understand who we are and what we're here for and learn to be better human beings, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And be patient because evolution, ooh, that was weird.
That was
Did you
weird. I
see
saw that.
that?
I saw that. I
Wow,
saw
that was weird. Evolution will run its course regardless, but things can go more in our direction if we're making an effort and working
that.
towards
Mm-hmm.
these things. And that helps them to be able to help us more. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that was weird.
That was weird. They're
Yeah,
here.
it wouldn't be the first time that's happened to me.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
In your lifetime, and I know it's hard to keep track because there's been so many times. How much? How many times do you think that you've been taken?
And one, in a almost almost every night. Not if it's not in physical,
Mm-hmm.
it is in my dream state. It's
Mm-hmm.
constantly. I communicate with them. Oh, I call it telepathic. A lot of people call things differently, but I have a direct communication with them, so I'm constantly asking for advice, you know, information. So either in one way or another, whether it's physical, face to face,
Mhm.
it could be in dream state,
Mhm.
different ways, but a lot.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well,
And
you mentioned it was kind of upsetting watching your kids get taken.
absolutely. I'm not
How did
upset anymore, but
how did they react to you being upset because obviously your emotions were there and they could tell.
well, they knew exactly everything I was feeling and they knew how I was going to react. So that's
Mhm.
why they put me in a sleep paralysis. I could not move and I could not
Okay.
speak. So I could not interfere because the children were in a trance. So they did that intentionally. And a lot of times when they put you in that, prevent you from being human, they're doing you a favor
Mhm.
because, you know, they're there for a reason. It's not this is not like Saturday night out or anything. They're there for a purpose and there's no time for negotiation or nonsense. And it's even like my oldest son, he has experiences just like I do. And he
Mhm.
gets the downloads and all the Kundalini, he's had that. They won't even take us at the same time because, and they proved this to me because I couldn't understand, why, thinking, well, we're both doing this,
Right.
we both know about each, why can't? So they tried it and I failed the test, of course, because I lost my focus of what I was doing because I was so distracted worrying about how he was feeling. Is he
Mhm.
okay? Is he happy? Is he sad? Whatever. And so they blacked me out. He and I both, he would be worried about me. I would be worried about him. At
Mhm.
some point, hopefully, we will get past that. But that's something that he and I are still working on is I guess it's kind of like, hey, I'm here, or you're here, are you okay? I'm okay, but it's not like that.
Mhm.
You can't do that. It has to be more focused and it's more, there's no playing, there's no shenanigans involved in any of this.
Mhm.
It's everything happens for a reason.
Question I have too is I've talked to other contactees who said that when they were taken aboard the ship, the aliens kind of didn't show themselves to them as being alien. It was like they put some kind of hologram in front of them.
Yeah, they don't change into that. What they
Mhm.
do is they'll take an image from your mind
Makes
and
sense.
you'll see, they'll project that image and that is what you see, but they
Mhm.
don't change into that. You're seeing
Okay.
that. That is to make you feel more comfortable.
Sure.
Yeah, but they don't do that with me anymore. The only times they've ever done that was when I was little,
Mhm.
or if I was, one time when I was in a hospital, they came in and looked like a person, but it was a person that I knew it was not them. But
Mhm.
they wanted to they wanted to see how I was doing, and there was information they needed to get to me and
Mhm.
talk to me about. So they used an image.
Okay.
So different reasons they do different things, but everything serves a purpose. There's
Mhm.
nothing, you might not understand it at the time,
Mhm.
but it all makes sense later on.
Absolutely. This hour flew by. Oh my gosh! Thank you
Ah,
so much for coming on.
thank you for having me.
I
I
learned so much,
appreciate
and I
it.
saw that I saw the questions in the chat room. Everybody was learning stuff from you. It's fantastic. I could sit here and talk to you all day. I mean,
Oh, I could too. I love this stuff. And, that's the beautiful thing. All my life, I wasn't able to do this, and now I can. And it's so
Mhm.
refreshing to just be who I am,
Mhm.
because this is who I am.
Well, I'd love to get you back on to talk some more about
Oh,
this.
anytime. I'd love to.
What's next for you?
Well, I just got back from the MUFON International Symposium, and
Mm-hmm.
that was absolutely amazing. I think all of us should try to get involved as much as possible in any organization that you
Mm-hmm.
feel comfortable with and be a part of this. This is big. This is real big, and we're all a part of it. So, get out there, learn as much as you can, and be a part of this,
Mm-hmm.
and be supportive to the cause. We want to get the rest of the world to wake up and understand the good things about this, because there's beautiful, beautiful things ahead for all of us, and we're all a part of it. I think it's a wonderful time to be alive, and we should all be proud of who we are, and we all made a choice to be here.
Absolutely. How can people find you?
Well, the Facebook group is Time for Disclosure / We've Never Been Alone. We are the disclosure, because I truly believe we are all the disclosure.
Mm-hmm.
Humanity waking up and understanding who we are. And then my website is timefordisclosure.com. And then I'm involved in a lot of groups, and I'm a MUFON member and involved in a lot of that stuff too. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Okay, well, thank you so much for joining me again. I really appreciate it. Learned so much, and I'm going to contact you to get you back on sometime, okay?
thank you.
All right, you have a great rest of your evening.
All right. Bye, everyone. Bye.
Okay, yeah, that was a cool interview, and I definitely going to try and have her come back on. That was some cool stuff. Tomorrow, Nancy Matz is on vacation, and she's in Salem, Massachusetts, of all places. So I will be filling in on my own, and I decided to kind of do a Nancy show, and we're going to talk about how to tell whether you're living in a haunted house or not, or whether your house is haunted, rather. So we're going to talk about that and a few other things tomorrow. So I hope you join me tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. Pacific for that. And I want to thank you all for coming tonight. I really appreciate it. I know that the times have been up and down this week. We've kind of had a weird week on the show, but hopefully all that's simmering down, because we're swinging into next week and all that. But I want to thank you all and just give you a quick heads up for the people that weren't aware of it. Monday, I ended up reading from the book. So we are starting part 6 of Bram Stoker's Dracula. So there might have been some stuff that you missed. I'll fill you guys in on it on Sunday to bring you all up to date. It's mostly diary stuff from the main characters. But anyway, I want to thank you all. And again, tomorrow I'm going to be going solo, so it should be a fun day. But I want to thank you, every one of you, for coming tonight. If you like the show, share it with 5 people. If you hated the show, share it with 5 of your enemies. We are always equal opportunity here at California Haunts Radio. We're just trying to get the word out about this little show, and it's been working. So let's see if we can keep the good work up. I do have a ticker going down there. We're trying to make the bills and all that. So if you could find it in your heart, that would be great. If not, that's fine too. No one's required. No one's required. So I just love seeing all you. Pam, Nan, Pam was in the chat room, Pamela, and we had Marisa, and we had Pamela. 2 Pams. No, Pat Nishikawa. My bad. Sorry, Pat Nishikawa, and Pamela and Marisa. Shows you what I know. Beep beep beep. All right. So I'll see you guys tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Pacific. Hope to see you. Hope to see y'all, and have a great evening, everybody.